Hey guys, Pete the Great. Today I'll be reviewing chapter 546 of Kingdom. So in this week's chapter, there was a lot that happened, and obviously it left us on another cliffhanger in usual Kingdom fashion, and sadly there's a break next week. But before all that, let's dissect this week's chapter. So it starts off with Gyoun, who's receiving reports from various spots in on the battlefield, and they all think, well, the people that hear the reports, they're all thinking that, oh yeah, did this unit win? Did this unit win? And the guys that are giving the reports are like, well, actually it's kind of the opposite that happened. And the Shin unit kind of, they say nearly decimated one and they severely damaged another. So we see that actually Shin taking the total control of his army actually helped, because before Karyoten has been stated saying that she couldn't guess what Gyoun was doing, and now with Shin there's a few units that have been able to take the upper hand. And then we transition, okay, after Gyoun says, oh, so there's another guy like me on their side, and then he says, let's see how far he'll go, and we transition into what Shin is actually doing. So he's saying, move these troops there, move these troops there. And he's naming people, but moving other pieces on the board in the strategic meeting. And they're like, well, you just move this. And he says like, oh, then do this with this unit. And you're like, whoa, okay. It really seems as if he's going on a whim. And, well, it actually fits his instinctual type. But Karyoten is actually really worried. And then she goes on to give us information about the current state of the battlefield. She says that Shin, although he has won a few skirmishes and has been able to kind of land a blow on Gyoun's army, he's lost a few skirmishes too. But she then goes on to state that she couldn't even do that because she couldn't even begin to guess what Gyoun was doing. So she felt that it could be better, but it could also be way worse if she was in control. And Kyokai is really just standing there and listening. And then we see one of the iconic moments for Shin. It'll be known as one of his iconic moments in the future, when he's actually kind of looking to set up a spot where there's a blaze that will be able to happen. And he's like, I'm just trying to see where he'll make a move. And similar to Dukyo, you know, he's really like observing the battlefield and trying to really find that little spark that will be able to engulf the whole battlefield in flames. And at some point, he just sees that Lieutenant N is at a spot that maybe something might happen. He's trying to figure out what Gyoun is thinking and trying to figure out where Gyoun would try and start a fire, a blaze, and he finds out that it's probably at the location of N, who managed to rally a few troops and get them all together. So what he ends up doing is he ends up sending Kyokai, and like really angrily, as if he's just spot something that's so critical that if she doesn't go and haul ass, they're gonna lose this battle. So he sends her off and goes like, yo, go there, that's definitely where you'll win. You have to win, you have to win. And so Kyokai rushes off on a horse and goes to that location on the battlefield. But then Shin is like, wait a second, am I missing something? Is he trying to start two blazes? Where is it? And then we get a little bit of insight onto how an instinctual general thinks, as he states, okay, I was looking for a spot, but he was actually looking, but Gyoun was actually planning for an action. So it opened up a small little creek, and like we see kind of like a river, you know, in between like the armies, and we see like a path, and Shin is like, oh, so that's where he'll be. So he sets off and says, there's something else that'll be very key to this battle. And while he's explaining to us what Gyoun was thinking, he says, if I saw it, then Gyoun must have seen it too. And then he says, right, Gyohun. And you're like, what? Gyon ends up right in front of him. And that's how the chapter ends. So the chapter ends up with the unavoidable confrontation of those two powerhouses, and sadly it also leaves us on a break, which means we'll have to wait 2 weeks before we see that. But in of itself, this chapter was really good because first of all, it showed a side of Shin that we've never seen before. It showed that even if Shin is like hot-headed, he was actually able to gain some victories as a strategist. And it also shows that even though he took the strategic approach to this fight, or like the decision-making approach, he'll still go to the battlefield and be Shin. So it's not a total flip of character, it's just character development, which has been honestly one of the strong points of the Kingdom series thus far, and it'll probably be one of those till the very end. So that's pretty much it for my chapter review this week. This was a great chapter. I give it a 10 out of 10 easily, and I can't wait to discuss Kingdom in 2 weeks. Bye.